Ready. So the problem is that our primer sticks. All right, is it on? I don't even know if I care. Everybody knows what it sounds like.
Now it is.
So the problem is the primer sticks. I go like this and it's loud. And it stays on until I hit it. Now we can turn the power back off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that primer valve, not the primer itself, but the primer valve out and clean it, and hopefully it'll work better. To do that, we unscrew this guy, which of course it's gonna spin, so it's gonna be problematic, but we'll get there. Disconnect the two screws here, come around the back, at the back of the primer here. Right there. Disconnect this hose, this electrical connection. There's another hose that I can't see. Might be that one. There's two hoses that go into that primer valve. So disconnect two hoses, pull the electrical connector, and we remove the whole thing, and then we take it apart and clean it. T-handle off. Usually it's got to spin, and in this case it doesn't want to spin, or the whole thing wants to spin, and it doesn't want to disconnect. So do the trick where we pull it out. Gonna need one of those. Yeah. Like I said, needle nose in it, and once you get it started, it spins off. There we are. And it comes just like that. That one's out. Okay, then we pull, I like to pull the hoses next because it's mounted to the back of the panel there, and it's just easier to reef on those hoses. So let's grab some wrenches and pull hoses. Copy bigger than 3/4. What size are you on?
13/16, probably it is.
Yeah.
And I think they're two different sizes if I remember correctly. They might not be. It probably varies from engine to engine, but.
Bingo.
So the big blue one, and
So the great thing is it's just a valve, and it doesn't actually matter which hose goes to which side. It'll still work. However, generally they have slightly different sizes, or they just kind of naturally fit. They fit in the right spot, in the same spot. So that ends up being how I keep track of it. And if you put them on the wrong way, which I've totally done, it works just fine. Explain it. So there has to be two hoses. One was easy to find, but the second one's on the bottom and it's wrapped in conduit, electrical conduit. I don't know why, just to give it some extra durability. But you gotta have two hoses because it's a valve. Water/air has to come into the primer valve from the eye of the pump, or wherever that's plumbed into, which is roughly the eye of the pump, or just right around that location. Yeah. And then the other one has to go out to the atmosphere. So it's just a line that goes from the eye of the pump through the primer pump and out to the ground of the green truck. So looking at it, it's the same thing. You could totally swap those two hoses, but they're just sitting in the right spot to go back into the right same locations. It won't matter if you do swallow them.
All the way out, like part of that tree line.
he needs to go find a new stadium.
So, there are these little compression fittings. Alright, so that's this end of it forward of the brass collar that's kind of pressed on there. That guy sticks into the brass fitting here, and then this other piece that slides and moves just screws onto it and holds it tight, holds it in. So if it's stuck, reef hard. So pull the screws out, and then the plate that's on the outside here comes loose. Drop the screws, and then the rest of the apparatus comes right out the back, and there it be. All right, let's go put that on a bench, and we'll tear it apart. All right, so I was sticking the vise, just easier to hold it. So how's it work? It's mounted in the truck like that, and water comes in from the pump head into this side, flows up into this guy. When you pull out on the T-handle, and we'll show you the guts here in a minute, it moves forward and it will flow water through the middle of the rod that's in here, and then it flows out this side. At the same time that you open the valve, the switch back here actuates and turns the primer on. So that is the trick to how it works. Somebody's running a bobcat. Okay, so usually I just start with taking this guy out, and you might be able to get it cleaned up enough without removing all this exterior stuff. Then again, if it's mucky and dirty in there, I'll take these things out so I can get in there and kind of clean it up. But so that looks like 5/16. Take the two bolts off the back. We can see and look at the switch. Don't take the switch apart in general. Because the switch doesn't usually fail. It gets gummed up in here, and that's the problem we have. And if you try to take the switch apart, the little tiny springs that are in there will, oh, I was right, it was a 5/16. I know what I'm doing. You'll lose the little ball that's on the inside. Every time I've taken one apart, I lost the ball, so. Okay, so that little ball in there is the switch. When I pull on the rod in the middle here, okay, you can see this back plate. When I pull on the rod, that back plate goes that direction and allows, lost it. Okay. Normal position is this guy's pressed in. Once that comes out, when I pull on the rod, that makes this connection live and actuates my primer through more or less a relay or a solenoid. So this is the actuator switch for that solenoid because it's, you know, big gauge wire. So once you take that guy off, all you have to do is shove them out backwards. How about a flat screwdriver pretty wide? Well, I might be able to actually just keep them like this for a bit. Oh, there it went. So all I did was screw the handle in a little bit and then unscrewed it, pressed it up against it, and just tapped it, and it came right out. So this guy goes in like this, right? When I pull on that handle, I pull in against this spring. This part slides forward, and these grooves line up between the intake here at the bottom and the outflow here off the side, and water can flow through it like that, no matter what angle this thing twists into. And when it's closed, it slides back, and water cannot flow in here. It just runs into nothing, no holes. So the trick, this is fairly clean. looking at it. Most of the time when I pull these apart, it's all gummed up. This isn't that gummed up. So we need to find like a abrasive pad and just kind of see if we can't. Yeah, I don't like the brush because the brush will scratch it. I'm just looking to polish it up a little bit. The O-ring can be changed if needed. It looks to be in perfectly good shape right there, but sometimes. Okay, and then on the inside, can't really see in there all that well, but on the inside where there are a couple different surfaces where it rubs, and they're usually fairly polished, but you'll get little buildups in there. The interesting thing is this actually feels pretty good. So we'll run the pad around it and try and, steel wool might be too much, might be too abrasive. Get it all polished up, see what we find. All right, so we're looking at this. These little deposits on here, that's kind of the stuff that we're looking to avoid. Not necessarily right here, but inside here. And it doesn't look all that bad, and we are just using steel wool. I need to get this wet to actually get it to scrub. Just try and polish it up best we can and see how it goes. I'm going to take these apart, I think, just to be able to get inside it a little bit better. All right, so polished it up a bit with the steel wool with a little cleaner in there, and we finished it off with the old SOS pad just to kind of polish that up nice and smooth. Key places I'm looking at getting nice and smooth are right in here where it rubs, right in here. This is usually where I find the most deposits, and then I get the forward end of this rod as well, just to make sure everything's nice and smooth and slides in there. We are going to go ahead and take apart the valve housing and try to polish up the inside of that as well. It's not as dirty as we expected it to be for as sticky as it is. So all you got to do here is unscrew the very well screwed on adapters, pull that extra brass hardware off the valve housing. Alright, so looking on the inside here, and interesting on this one, it really doesn't help to take this part off because you can't get into it. There's some sort of weird insert in there. So mostly we'll be coming at it from the end and a little bit from this side. Just the forward piece, and it doesn't look that bad in there, but you can feel in, and you can feel where the surfaces that the rod rubs on are, because they're smooth and flat, whereas everything else is a bit molded and circular. I guess it's circular, it's not flat, but you get the idea maybe. I'm looking for those smooth surfaces that it's here on the back it's obvious where it rubs. That's the main spot I'm worried about. Get a little bit wet and scrub away. Okay, so we got it all nice and polished up here. It's still a little wet, and I might rinse it out, get the soap off of it. But so the inside mating surfaces are all polished up. This guy's all polished up. So I got to test fit it, and it fits in there pretty nicely. Okay, so I get it to that. And when I'm pushing it through that, it's hanging up on the front surface there, which I did try to polish up a little bit. There's an O-ring in there that seals it, and I'm thinking that for whatever reason, either that O-ring is getting bad or the surface around that, you know, forward portion is problematic. So you take a screwdriver and try and get the O-ring out without marring up the brass, which is easier said than done. I don't know, that O-ring looks a little bit gobbed up. What do you think?
I think so too.
I don't like that O-ring. I think it looks wrong. I think we need to go find a new O-ring. I think we have a pile of O-rings up in the shop up above. Let's see if we can match that. Here, give me a second. I'll polish this up, and then we can try and fit. We can dry fit it in there. Okay, so we placed the O-ring on the inside. Put just a little dab of grease on there. We think it's the good marine grade grease, but we don't know for sure. But something's better than nothing. So we can grease up this side too. It feels like the right kind of grease. It's not that oily, gunky. Just get dirt on the greasy parts. T-handle. I didn't put the freaking spring in there, damn it. Definitely feels better.
But that same period, they added 4 level jobs that all start at about 150 a year. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So, to get this guy in there, screw your handle in. The hand holds it in place, and then you reinstall this guy on the back. Pulls back in better, that's for sure. Okay, let's reinstall it. Hook up the, we'll set up these guys, the fittings here, and we'll reinstall it and see how it goes. Reinstallation is the reverse. Moment of truth. Installed. Oh. Yeah, I think so. Let's do it hot. Gonna get loud.
Oh, the wire's probably not plugged in.
Oh, you're right. Nope, not that wire. It was almost entirely that O-ring, I'm sure of it.
Yep.
Yeah, O-ring was all gummed up and probably got like dirt and something behind this on the outside and tore it up and ended up pulling it out. It was sweet. That works the way it's supposed to. Love it.